Yandere fans, welcome back to Yandere Sunday with It Gets So Lonely Here, Part 2. If you haven't already, be sure to check out Part 1 because we will be continuing right off of that. So, recap real quick of last time. We went into the forest, we were running away from somebody, not sure who, potentially a Yandere. We took a certain path and came into an abandoned village where everyone had died of a plague except for one girl who was a mortician, and I love that. That's really cute. She's really cute. She let us stay in her place, gave us something to eat and drink, and then, yeah, we've just slept over at her place. The dreams that you have this night lying beneath unfamiliar sheets upon an unfamiliar bed are no less intense than usual. In your dreams, you are back at the conservatoire, the place where this adventure of yours began. You're wearing the crisp white blouse you once discarded and your grey, unremarkable shirt. Your hair is tied in braids and your eyes are downturned, forever focused upon your feet. You tried not to look at your classmates and you thought yourself fortunate if they did not look at you in return. You did not want anybody to notice you, until that awful winter that is, where everybody stopped paying attention to you for good. Nobody tried to trip you when you walked past them in the hallways. Nobody, in fact, so much as glanced at you. You were giddy with relief at first over this newfound means of tormenting you that your classmates had devised. But this little game, that of complete and utter disregard, continued and on and on and on as the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer. As the time passed, you began to fret as to the state of your own corporeality. Could anybody still see you? Did you even exist at all? Then, at long last, you found it. By accident, the source of all your woes. One of the girls had erected it in the forest, through which you were sometimes bidden to jog for PE class, beneath the shade cast by an old oak tree. This talk of school and PE class and bullying like this just kind of reminds me of more modern day. It sounds a little too modern for the time period that this game takes place in, but that's fine, whatever. It was a makeshift tombstone, a small, meager monument made of stone, upon which one of your classmates had hewn a name. Your name. Bro, that's horrible. What is wrong with these people? You knew at once as you stood there, standing beneath the shade of that ancient tree, that this was the reason behind your classmates' silence. This is why they had, for many months, been ignoring you so assiduously. They had buried you. In their hearts, you had already died. That's so awful. Imagine ignoring someone for months on end, just, like, not even acknowledging them and pretending that they're dead for that long. That's so rude. What is wrong with these people? When you awake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. You stumble into the kitchen in your nightclothes, your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you. Ah, I missed her. She's cute. Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm Wait, she has that weird southern accent. I think you need something warm to drink, and maybe you need something to eat too. Let me get started on breakfast. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite simple affair. Nothing like the luxurious food you were accustomed to in your past life. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on, and the cheese is a bit too strong. It is food all the same, though, and you don't complain. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles at you in return. A sunny smile, like a field of blooming bellflowers. She's so cute. Oh, I like. What? Discord, shut up. You stay with the gravedigger for many, many more days, and limited though her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger sets you chores about the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you are grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You can almost forget about it now during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you. The sound of your feet against the foliage and the swirling fog. Though you try to tell yourself otherwise, you're still afraid. Being with the gravedigger makes you feel less so, though. Particularly when you're sweeping the floor or keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they don't burn. You attend to most of the domestic chores while the gravedigger concerns herself with the work she knows best, that is, digging graves. How many bodies are there that she hasn't buried yet? Like, you know, everyone's dead. Is she not finished yet? Why, you ask her, perhaps a touch insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There is nobody left, after all, to dig them for. That's what I thought. Aren't we out of people? You have always been practical, and you cannot see the point in it. What's the point in it, The gravedigger ponders, while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question, despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky. Her temperament is so very placid. I don't suppose there is any point to it, really, the gravedigger eventually says with a small smile. I know it doesn't have any practical purpose, but, well, digging graves is what my father did. He showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted to keep our family tradition going, and I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all it is? You think you can understand that? Though your companion's actions might appear to be illogical, there is a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose, she does it instead out of sentiment. That makes sense, I guess. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spent my days idling all on my own, I think I'd go mad. The gravedigger laughs at this, as though the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her slender stature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you, perhaps unkindly, of the braying of a horse. You're ashamed of thinking such a thing, though, and your face flushes with the guilt of it. We cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know. Still, the laughter of the gravedigger, as it echoes through the grey, gloomy sky, is strangely desperate. It sounds forced. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural. The rictus grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempts to return her laughter with a polite giggle, that you cannot. You cannot help but pity her. Poor girl. Oh, what was that? Oh, it was the door. You retreat indoors briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and the preparing of the meals, a task which takes slightly longer. It's not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from outdoors. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there is dirt caked beneath her fingernails. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, then looks at the pot suspended over the fire, a fire which you stoked with your own fair hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onions, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen with a honey aroma which makes your stomach rumble. I'm glad that I'm doing the cooking instead of her. I wouldn't trust I don't trust many people to cook for me rather than myself. There are like 2 other people that I let cook for me, really. Unless I'm at someone's house and I don't have much of a choice, in which case I begrudgingly accept it. But otherwise, you know, I don't let many people cook for me. Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to find dinner already prepared. Now, let me give it a test. The gravedigger dips a spoon into the soup. Ugh, soup. Ugh, I'm not a fan of soup, like, at all. The gravedigger explains after drawing a spoon from her lips, her smile a bright, guileless one. It's delicious. Your face flushes at this compliment. You are unaccustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. This soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread, too, that we can eat it with. But, oh, I should brew some tea, too. Let me. Ah, yes, the tea. You knew you were forgetting something. For a lady, you are awfully domestic. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it, soup and bread, alongside 2 cups of piping hot tea, prepared by your hostess's own 2 hands. You sit together at the table, then partake in this simple fare after saying grace. The soup really is quite good. Despite it being made from only the most commonplace ingredients, there is a bit of a kick to it, and It warms you from the inside out. The nights are long, and there is no better way to pass than spending time with her. You do not know what has happened, but after consuming your victuals, you feel utterly fatigued. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your yawns, and she nods in response. She's poisoned the tea, hasn't she? Oh, bugger. That's alright. You don't need to stay up with me. Not if you ain't up to it. You should head off to bed and rest that pretty head of yours. Oh, she thinks my head's pretty. Oh. You do not think you're particularly pretty, but you presume that the gravedigger is just regurgitating a phrase to you. That's a really weird way to put it, but alright. You've only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door, light and unobtrusive. This rapping could, of course, belong to but one person. It is the gravedigger. Come to check up on you. I'm sorry, the gravedigger says, her voice soft, but you rushed to your room so soon after eating, I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright. The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless. She really does sound concerned, so much so she could very well be on the brink of tears. You do not want her to cry for you. You would feel horribly guilty if you upset her, even inadvertently given all that she had done for you. You bid the gravedigger entry into your room, therefore, without further delay. An invitation she hastens to take. The gravedigger looks at you, seated in bed with your hair freed from your usual braids, and exhales. Is that relief, you wonder, playing about her face? But why? What is she expecting to see exactly before entering your bedchamber? Thank you for letting me in, the gravedigger says, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Not too terrible, you reassure her. There is no particular problems with your health, you just feel tired. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. Oh, we've got the plague, don't we? Oh, hell no! She would be concerned about that then if she thinks that I'm sick. Everyone she knows and loves died to that. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink? Or maybe a hot brick to place in your bed? A hot brick? You appreciate your hostess's thoughtfulness, but you reassure her that this won't be necessary. You'll be fine. I hope so. I thought that about my father too before he... The gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought. Yeah, I'm getting a little concerned. If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says. But before that... Before that? This was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, would you mind if I brushed your hair for a little while? I would not mind that at all. That's right. It's such a pretty shade of red is all. I just thought, well, it's just a fancy, really. What does that even mean? You don't have to let me. Not if you don't want to, but I thought it might help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I've heard it's supposed to be soothing. That is what the gravedigger says, but you have the distinct feeling that she's the one looking for solace here. She is not quite so selfless, perhaps, as she would like you to think. But she has been so very good to you, and has done so very much for you, that you don't want to begrudge her the small self-indulgence. You rather think she deserves it. You agree, therefore, to her request, and upon doing so, you're certain that you have made the right choice. Your hostess's face lights up immediately in a manner which makes you blush. She is very cute. The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter holding in her right hand the promised brush. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression pensive. Then she announces that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight, a creak which melds with the sighing of the breeze outdoors. Why does she look so disgruntled by it? You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, so much so it makes you shiver. The sensation is a pleasant one and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, you wonder? When you were a little girl? You've not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled in the conservatoire. Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft, just like silk. Not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscences. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own, because her voice, when next she speaks, is dreamy. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this for me, back when she were still alive. That must have been a long time ago, though. It's funny, you think, as the bristles of the brush continue to slide through your tresses, that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. Perhaps there is something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is wont to summoning forth such images. I would not know, personally. I cannot remember my own mother at all. I don't think I liked having my hair brushed very much, the gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape of your neck. My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much, I can remember that. She always told me to sit still, though it wasn't my fault I squirmed, she used too much force. I feel you. It sounds as though the reminiscences of the gravedigger are not particularly fond at all. Did she not get along well with her mother? I can't rightly say, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I really don't remember her too well. I wasn't like the other girls in the village, you see, who liked to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I'd always loved the outdoors. My father said I inherited that from him. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled, not that you can see it with your back facing her. My mother said I wasn't very, well, maidenly. She didn't like that I always traipsed around outside after my father, watching as he dug graves. I used to get a bit muddy, yes, and maybe I did get burns in my clothes and knots in my hair, and it shouldn't have mattered. It's not like I ever had any hopes of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said. But still, she hoped. She had a lot of hopes, my mother. High hopes. I think she might have resented my father, maybe, for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it's never made much money. Then she shouldn't have married him in the first place if she was worried about that. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality didn't match up to what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable, so much so that you want to console her. What would you say to her, though? You never met your companion's mother. You never will, either. You would not like it if people tried to reassure you that, of course, your father loved you, really. If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Why did he never send you any letters? You know he was worried about his finances, but that seems a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter did not exist. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would not have given birth to her. Instead, you sit there, letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Well, the gravedigger says after a pause, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I guess it happens to all of us. You guess so. Parents are only people after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to caprices of their own. Oh well. It's alright if my mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He was always there for me, no matter what. Your companion's voice catches in her throat, at least until he wasn't. He died, and I didn't do anything to help him. Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You still cannot see her, but you feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling off her in waves. It is all-consuming, like waters of a deep, dark ocean. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This you have no qualms with telling her. You turn to face her and pluck the brush which has been hovering in the air from her fingers. Then you let her know that her father's death was not her fault. That, what could she have done? She could not have cured his illness. I know, but I can't help but think, what if? I keep racking my head over and over trying to come up with something, but I can't think of anything. And even if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I buried him. And now I'm all alone. She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How can she be when you're there? I know that. I know, and I'm grateful, but I don't know if I deserve it. Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand. Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. Why are you still alive is my other question. All of the villagers, all my friends, all died. What would I do if the same thing happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. I don't want you getting sick too. Not when I care about you so much. I thought I'd gotten used to being on my own, but now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worrying so much I can't sleep from it. Bro, I feel you. Oh, poor girl. I'm scared. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. She leans forwards, her arms wound about her middle, as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries, and she cries, and she cries. For a few moments, you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tears, seems to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders, which seemed too slender to bear the accumulative weight of all the sorrows she had endured, are shaking. You do not know what you can say to console her. You feel too weary to think of pretty sophisms. But there is something you can think of. You would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to throw caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting. Aww. In your arms, be a good Samaritan, heck yeah. Oh, that's so sweet, I love the colors. And yeah, her hair is a very nice red. She looks quite beautiful from this angle at least. I'm sure her face is too. So now that we've seen myself, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that is the girl that we see on the Steam page as well. I don't think we see her whole face though. Let me just check that too, because I just want to know what she looks like. Oh yeah, she is really very beautiful. She's quite pretty. We won't put a picture of her up yet because she does appear in the game a few times. You do get to see her face later on. So you open your arms, and before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her to your chest. Oh. A soft exclamation escapes the lips of the gravedigger, quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushes the ground. Then there is nothing. The gravedigger is stiff in your arms for a few moments, like the corpses she and her father used to seal away inside their wooden coffins. She is all wide eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears still coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly as you hold her that you have perhaps made a mistake. Were your attempts at consoling her too clumsy? You would not know. You've never been in a situation like this before. You've never consoled any friends before because you've never had any friends to console. It is not so now, however. You are as far from your old life as it is possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue cradled in your arms. Oh, I'm very sorry to show you something so embarrassing. It's just I get so lonely sometimes. Until at long last, with a breathy sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against yours. You run your hands through your against your sobbing companion's shoulder blades, and her back, and gently you soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There's no shame in crying. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, wetting the front of your nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, but they do not need to. This music is so beautiful as well, I love it. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. You slide beneath your sheets, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for permission. Oh my! Ooh, well, this is getting nice. It would be an unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance is all but assured. You have already accepted the gravedigger, after all. every single inch of her. You have accepted her hospitality. You have accepted her food. Now, you're accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body into yours. The gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes come the following morning, her head resting against your chest. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There is no concept of time between the two of you, no thought of the day which will dawn once the night inevitably ends. We know there is one simple solution to the clove crumpling issue if, you're just getting hot in here, as it were. Instead, there is only warmth shared between you and the wetness on the cheeks of the gravedigger. There is sound, irregular now, and less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There is this gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep, dark night which can never be replaced. Your eyelids feel heavy, as though weighted down with stones. They droop inexorably downwards, pulling you, like a drowning maiden, into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, cozied up beside the gravedigger like two cats in a basket. You sleep, and you sleep, and you sleep more deeply than you've ever allowed yourself in quite some time. Whoa! Like I said, there's her face. Very beautiful. I love her braids very much, but what is with the ASMR? But when you awake, you find that you're no longer in the bed upon which you slept in, shrouded by sheets. The gravedigger, too, is nowhere to be seen. Instead, you are quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. I have a very bad feeling about this. You blink, but your surroundings do not become any clearer. Is it the middle of the night? Perhaps you were roused from your slumber by a desire to relieve yourself, or else slake your thirst. Your sleep has been awfully distorted as of late, and the smallest of noises has been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite right, though. You slept well, of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated, as though it has slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You do not know much of anything. You can feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, and around your arms. You would appear as though somebody, but who else could it have been but the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping. So I wasn't wearing this before. True, this isn't exactly a nightgown. That is a startling thought, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound woes do not stop, however, at this deep, unnatural darkness. It's cold, too, and you're lying upon something hard, some sort of a stone slab. What's going on? You reach out, but your movements are soon stymied. There's something heavy laying atop you, something that is limiting your movements. You were anxious before upon waking, but at this discovery you feel downright aggrieved. A sharp prong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad decisions even worse. You ought to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as best you can, though it is coming on you thick and fast, and try to squirm. You move your arms outwards, but they do not get very far. There is a wall above you, and walls either side of you. Walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Not, I must add, that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You have never had much in the way of upper body strength nor lower body strength. You do not have much in the way of strength at all. You feel quite helpless as you lie there out of breath from your meagre exertions, unsure of what you should do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You do not know where you are nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear down upon you, one which initially you tried to discard. You do not want to accept it as a possibility, but where else could the truth lie? You are lying in a box, hemmed in by walls which offer only scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear it, the irregular sound of drumming. It is as though somebody, though they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingertips upon the lid of your coffin. That's not what I'm hearing. That, or it is raining. It is not the fingers of a giantess, though, which is disturbing you, nor is it falling rain. It is dirt. The sound continues on and on as though it is drilling its way inside your skull. It is relentless. It is merciless. Like the ticking of a great celestial clock, it cannot be stopped. Your time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you? When you were running through the forest. You ought to have known, silly thing, that you could not outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later it would catch up to you. You are stubborn, though, and you do not want to accept this. Not content to simply lie there, you cry out. You cry not for your parents, whom you had hardly knew, nor for your school friends, for you never had any. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, the girl with whom you had been living with whom you had shared one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the gravedigger. Surely this is some manner of mistake. Once she realizes that you are in fact entombed in one of the coffins she is currently filling, for who else would be moving the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. She'll pull you out of the darkness back into the world of the living, and then she will hold you close. She will embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. Why would she bury you? You cry to her so loudly, and you fear your vocal cords might tear, all by banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of the falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint, given it's been filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it. So you're awake then, are you, dear one? The gravedigger says. Then she says in a perplexed sort of voice, now that is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple hours more, so that the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm going to feel bad. Her companion's words, though distant, are unmistakable. You are so tense, you are attuned to every single syllable, and each of them makes you gasp. Was this not a mistake then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? You posit the question to the gravedigger as best you can, trying to keep the tremors from your voice as you do so. Perhaps you think, in your optimism, that you do not let her know how afraid you are, she'll reward you with the bravery and let you go. If this is what you are hoping, though, it is in vain. That's right, you really do catch on quick. So, it would appear she has committed to the task of burying you. An unfortunate turn of events. Why, though, would she do such a thing? You thought that she was your friend. We are friends, the gravedigger says, her voice still worryingly offhand, worryingly empty. I'm very fond of you. There's nobody dearer to me than you. I've had a really good time with you these last... How long's it been again? I don't remember. Neither do you. Well, if this little detail has slipped both your minds, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she hope to gain by burying you? You do not understand. But you understand her reply even less. Well, here's the thing, the gravedigger says, in a reasonable sort of voice, as though burying somebody alive could ever be thought of a reasonable action. I've been digging graves for a long time, see? You cannot see, it is too dark. Haha, nice. But you affirm that you do all the same. Well, I was digging all these graves, but I've not had anybody to put them in. Not for ages. I was rather sad. You think you know where this train of logic, twisted though it is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good will come of it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen. I was thinking I'd never find a person to bury in this forsaken village, not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate. Until you came along, that is. Now that I have somebody I can bury, I'm not gonna let the opportunity pass me by. I'm sorry, but this is just part of my job. It is what my father taught me to do. It is all I know how to do. You're meant to bury dead people, not living people. I buried my mother, and I buried my father. I buried all of my friends. Now, I'm going to bury you too. This is sound logic in a sense, as the daughter of a gravedigger. Digging graves is her job, but something about it rankles you. It rankles you. If only you could put your finger on it. She poisoned the tea, didn't she? Ah, yes. There's a bit of a flaw in her reasoning, is there not? You are not dead, after all. You might not be dead now, the gravedigger says in response to your ingenuity, but you will be, if given enough time. I mean, everybody else I've ever known's died. Who's to say you wouldn't be next? It seems rather more likely that you will die, and quickly, if she persists with her poorly thought-out plan to bury you. Your coffin is not very large, it affords you precious little space. Eventually, if trapped within it long enough, you'll run out of oxygen. And you'll suffocate. That, or you'll starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow, painful one. You're unsure which death would be worse, though, given how precarious your situation is, you do not wish to expend the necessary energy needed to ponder it. You need to plead with the gravedigger and quickly while she's still here. You tell her tearfully that you would not leave her. Why would you? You try to sound as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. You say that, she says, but how can I know you're telling me the truth? I thought you said you were a traveler, and they never stay put in one place for long. You'd get sick of me before long, and you'd leave me. No, I lied, I'm not a traveler, that's not my point. This way, at least, I can be assured that we'll always stay together. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be far apart. I even took care to put you in a nice spot, close to my home, so you're only a stone's throw away, really. Isn't that nice? Privately, you think that the gravedigger has a different conception of the word nice to you. You do not say this, however. You cannot say much of anything because the panic has begun to set in. It is choking you, stopping up your throat so you can only cry. You scream. You beg and plead, but it does little good. The gravedigger has already buried her mother. She's already buried her little brothers. She's even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks, by burying you, she's doing unto you an act of great kindness. You think that she's going to kill you. In a sense, you are both right. Your opinions are so diametrically opposed on this matter, however, that you will never be able to find any common ground. You might as well save your screaming. She will not listen to you. She is beyond listening. Shush, shush, dear one, says the gravedigger very gently, just as gently as she spoke last night when she confided in you all her fears. It won't be so bad, really. Nothing will be able to hurt you down there, except, you know, lack of oxygen and the crampedness. This is horrible! What are you talking about? It'll just be like going to sleep for a really, really long time. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I'll plant flowers on your grave. You'd like that, wouldn't you? I mean, I guess, but no. This way, we can always be together, and I'll never be lonely again. While the gravedigger speaks, she begins to pile even more soil onto the roof of your coffin. The sound of dirt on top of you, your arms, your legs, and your head conceals your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything beyond the sounds of the dirt and the scrapings of the shovel and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream and you scream and you scream without cease until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer on the lid of the coffin with as much strength as you can muster, but the lid of the coffin is nailed shut. You're in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there screaming and crying and banging your fists on the roof of the coffin over and over as more dirt and debris fall on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and you'll no longer hear her. You're all alone, trapped in a narrow wooden box which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You can smell the soil in the backs of your nostrils when you inhale. It is so potent that you can taste it on your tongue. You can taste the eventual inevitable decay of your own body. You'll remain trapped here, underground, forever and ever. Or, to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. I think you'll die of lack of water first, so at least there's that. It isn't a very pleasant way to go, but you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led you to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? Oh shit, this is an actual choice? She has very nice legs. Let's just say that. Oh good, I can't save here. I was hoping to, let's save. No, hell no, I'm not accepting that. Fight against your fate. You are not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Very well. I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you are rather dearer to me than that. Okay, now I'm confused. Who is the narrator that is speaking to me like this? Now why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. What? Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Oh, snap! We're back here? Interesting. Very interesting. That is quite cool. I'm going to quickly reload this. Yes, I do want to load the save. And I'm going to accept my fate. Very well then. Enjoy your eternal slumber. I suppose this is goodnight for now. But it is not goodbye. You cannot escape from me, even if you're buried deep beneath the earth. Where there is will, there is a way. And, even if the whole world has forsaken you, I never will. I will never leave you. What? You will never be lonely again, down in the boneyard 10 feet deep. It gets so lonely here. What? Okay, something a little more interesting is going on with this game. I knew yanderes were involved, but I didn't expect the narrator to be one. What is that about? That is very interesting. Very interesting indeed. But let's look at this. See, she has very, very nice legs. I mean, can I just say, like, you know, no need to bonk me. She just has very nice legs, okay? I like it. This was nice while it lasted. And that is what It Gets So Lonely Here is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for watching. If you want me to continue this series, then let me know down in the comments, because I would very much like to. I love the music of this game. The story so far, very good. Very good. The writing is fantastic. The artwork is lovely. And I want to know more. I want to know what the hell is going on. I want to know who exactly this narrator is. There's only one way to find out, and that is to continue the series. So do be sure to let me know down in the comments if you want me to continue this. Leave a like, a subscribe for more, and thank you all so very much for watching. There is also merch on the shop. You can get these posters as well as a special Yandere Ubel poster, which you can get on a poster, a shirt, a pillow, whatever you want. Has Ubel doing the Yuno Yandere face, so there's that going for you. If you like Yanderes, do be sure to check out the Senkara shop at senkara.myspreadshop.com. There will be a link in the description. Join the Discord server, also become a member today if you would like. That would certainly help out the channel a lot, and we can do a lot with the extra money that comes in. So thank you all so very much for watching. My name has been Senkara, and until next time, See ya.